This is me waiting for Chaska's banner to end to pull my first C6 5-star without ever utilizing the wallet. Pulling a C6 5-star, however, especially a limited one, that makes me practically a whale. So to truly understand how I achieved this incredible feat as an F2P, we're gonna have to start from the very beginning.
Outlanders, your journey ends here.
Wait a minute, I feel like I've done this before. Actually, go forward a bit.
We last left off with ancient Neuvillette beset by an ocean demon and a mountain dragon. Rex Lapis mustered his adepti to restore peace to the land. They say that before he set out, he spoke.
This is where it all begun. Hu Tao might be one of the first reasons I played Genshin, but you've all seen those why I started playing and why I stayed post. This man right here is the reason why I kept going. This man right here is the one that helped me develop massive willpower and restraint to not pull every time I obtain 160 Primo gems. And this man is the one who made me the person I am today. A true F2P Archon. This is the story on how I C6 Zhongli, purely from sheer willpower and patience. For those who don't know, I started Genshin during the final days of patch 1.6. And patch 1.6 means Golden Apple Archipelago and the introduction of the triple S tier support unit, Kazooha. And then there's me, just doing some low AR activities. And maybe a little bit of this. Anyway, fun fact, did you know I used to ice bridge the Spiral Abyss? Yeah, if you have the Japanese voice on, you probably heard those voice lines a million times already. Long story short, I didn't really get to experience Golden Apple Archipelago since I just started those days. But the final days of patch 1.6 quickly introduce us to the debut of Inazuma. Patch 2.0, aka the worst region in the game. But despite all the challenges, I managed to maintain a sharp mind. For I have one clear goal at that time, and that is to get Hu Tao. So instead, I decide to exploit the challenges this new content give to me to my advantage, all in the name of Primo gems. Sure, I might have done a few silly things here and there, and also not understanding how the pity system worked, though in the end, with enough perseverance and just a little luck, I managed to get who I wanted, and I still use her until today. But hey now, this is a Zhongli video, not Hu Tao. So, tracing back to the trailer, at that time I got my Hu Tao on version 2.2. I've heard of Zhongli before, but I sorta mix him up with Dilute. Why? I have no idea. Low AR stuff. But only then, after getting Hu Tao, I properly stumbled across his trailer, Genshin's most popular video, with over 34 million views and 600,000 likes. Pretty ironic since the trailer exists way back before Hu Tao's first banner. Anyway, after watching his trailer, a spark triggered inside me. I immediately know that this is the one who I'm gonna C6. That one scene when he summons his meteor sends chills to almost everyone who watched it. After the end of the trailer, I dedicated my Primo Gem savings for this man. And finding out he's an Archon only fuels that even further. I kept grinding and grinding, shrugging off banners upon banners, asking everyone in the community by spamming questions about the next Zhongli rerun, to the point they got annoyed. Until the day finally arrived. Version 2.4, Zhongli's third ever banner and second rerun. I take out my wish screen and immediately start spamming on the pull button. Stars upon stars appeared until I see one of them shines bright like jade. And then he appeared. And that was my first time getting my hands on Zhongli. Obviously, I did a little pre-farming and gave him the signature tenacity of the Neuvillette. But you see, the meta has depicted Zhongli mostly as just a shielder. And I don't want that. I want my Zhongli to be different and as respectable as possible, for he is the Geo Archon. I've learned about his kit and abilities to generate the most all-rounded Zhongli I can ever get. And in the end, this is what I cooked. 4-piece tenacity of the Neuvillette with a very amazing crit damage circlet, an HP Sans to make his shield at least stand out and giving an extra pump to the scaling of dominance of Earth, and a pretty lackluster Geocup. Unfortunately, it's on piece, but I guess 10% crit rate is okay. And finally, a weapon to boost his physical damage. Yep, I said physical damage, so I cooked myself a Crescent Pike. Which is, well, definitely not the best in slot, especially when I'm not really running him as a full physical DPS, but hey, it works. Although, not gonna lie, I kinda like Crescent Pike because of its Infusion Needle ability. With that, I finished my Zhongli build, and the rest of my Primo Gems is for his next rerun. But I decided to do something silly. Yep, that happened. I pulled on the final days of his banner and got my first ever Keqing. It may not be C1, but I consider that as lucky. Though somehow, the luck didn't end there. Yet. I'm locked in for Zhongli, but I know my limits, so I stop pulling and continue grinding. Problem is, the F2P struggles of wanting to pull multiple characters but their banners are close to each other. I have to admit, despite being locked in completely for Zhongli constellations, the game will change, and the meta requires good characters that are not exclusively Zhongli. Obviously, I too have characters I'm interested in other than him. So with the Primo Gems I obtained from grinding, I end up getting my hands on Venti during patch 2.6. Mostly because of this. But this is when my luck really starts to take in, because the next banner is Kamisato Ayaka. I actually never wanted Ayaka. But one day, when I'm just chilling in Chinju Forest in my PS4, I pull out the wish screen to check the infamous Ayaka banner. Because the duration of this banner used to be 240 days, so yeah, I'm just checking to see if there's any changes at that time. Then I accidentally pressed the controller and did a tempo. Moving on to patch 2.7, where I lose my 50-50 early to Mona trying to get Xiao. Did I get Xiao? Obviously, because the grinding pays off and I got the Primo Gems. And the reason I pulled for Xiao? At that time I figured Anemo is versatile and not many enemies are immune to it. Then I got a little existential crisis in patch 2.8. Klee had a rerun. I planned to make a video about Yanfei, and I lacked a good catalyst back then. So I did something I'm not proud of, which is pulling the weapon banner to get the Witsit. And well, it ends up victimizing a ton of my Primo Gems. Oh, and I got Kazooha's weapon. In the end, I did get Witsit, but a painful lesson was learned. Don't do 10 pulls on weapon banners for 4 stars. But then I was introduced to 2 amazing treats. Version 3.0. The debut of Sumeru, and another Zhongli rerun. Luckily, with the lesson learned in the previous patch, I redoubled my efforts on the Primogems grind and have a decent amount of pulls to get Zhongli's constellations. I managed to successfully obtain Zhongli's first constellation, which increases his overall DPS by being able to summon an extra pillar. Then I feel a little silly again, do another 10 pull, and just after I get Zhongli's first constellation, I got his second constellation. With C2 Zhongli, he can immediately generate a shield every time he uses his burst. I'm happy that luck got on my side again after leaving me in 2.8. The grind continues, and with the debut of a brand new region and story, the Primogems keeps on stacking. Until version 3.3 arrive, aka the Raiden Shogun rerun. Back then, there were only 4 main Archons in Genshin, and I have 2 of them. I thought this is an opportunity. I managed to accumulate 8,000 Primogems and 180 pulls from Sumeru's help, which makes me wanna spice up my Raiden pulls a little. The plan was to make a video about Raiden pull rituals, but I guess Hoyo has other plans for me. So before I can even make a proper video, they gave me Raiden in the first 10 pull from a ritual. Guess it worked a little too well, and once again, luck is seemingly on my side. Now with only 10 pulls consumed and a massive leftover Primogem funds, grinding just got way easier. Because I'm simply not interested in almost any of the incoming banners. Those Sumeru characters and reruns were completely shrugged off. Another secret log I sorta get that boosts my Primogem fund significantly is the Blessing of the Welkin Moon. Okay, I know, it may seem like I wailed, but the truth is, Genshin once had a giveaway event in Hoyolab. You have a high chance to win 100,000 Mora or a Blessing of the Welkin Moon. And I just happen to be one of the lucky winners who gets the Welkin. So it's Hoyoverse who gave me the Welkin and my account stays F2P. Sorta. Anyway, 4 patches later, I can no longer shrug off the banner for the meta change, and the best support in the entire game is rerunning Kavehnheimer Kazooha. Because of the amounts I invested, I give the spicing things up a try again, using rituals to pull for Kazooha, and I successfully obtained him. And that chaos back then in 2.8 ends up paying off because Freedom Sword finally has a user. Same thing happened in the next patch where I did rituals to get Eula, because she is practically non-existent back then. So I don't want to miss the best physical DPS in the game, and because she's thick. What comes next is 4.0, the debut of Fontaine, the Nation of Hydro. Oh, and Zhongli rerun. My Primogems are not catching a break. ChatGPT was trendy back then, so I tested it out by asking for Zhongli rituals, which ends up giving me a Keqing constellation. This is why I don't trust AI. Then I did the silly move of doing another 10 pull after losing, and boy, my luck is good. C3 obtained, and things got even better when I got his 4th constellation after I tried pulling a little on the final days of his banner. With C4, Zhongli's Meteor AoE and Petrification duration gets a decent buff. And I'm really starting to collect Zhongli's constellations like the 6 Infinity Stones. 2 patches later, Furina arrives and a 4-star caught my eye. Charlotte. I learned from my mistakes of doing 10 pulls back on 2.8, so instead I do single pulls. But this fake cat girl appeared again. I stopped pulling after, and I believe I did get Charlotte from an event. Or maybe the standard banner. Yeah, I don't remember. 4.4 arrives, and I had an opportunity to pull the 3rd Archon before Furina, the Radish Nahida. I don't really have a clue why I'm pulling the Archons in a random order. Also, I skipped Neuvillette in patch 4.1 only to pull him in patch 4.5, which is literally the next patch after Nahida's rerun. And 4.5 was the first ever time I lost the 50-50 to Chi-Chi. But since Fontaine gave me funds, I just kept going. Then Arlecchino made a debut in 4.6. I didn't pull at first, but after experiencing her stupid damage in a different account, I went for it. Then Furina had a rerun next patch. Yeah, I think I grinded a little too hard. 4.8 happens, and it was the return of the legendary Death, the Destroyer of Worlds. A 4-star so dangerous, it once wiped things out from existence back then. J. Robert Kavehnheimer. Oh, and there's Navia. My funds are literally being consumed in 5 consecutive banners. I tried my luck for Kavehnheimer, but I got Navia instead. 5.0 arrives, and Natlan is released. At least my Primogams gets a little break since Mualani and Kinich simply doesn't interest me. I did get Engulfing Lightning by accident, but 5.1 is Hu Tao's rerun. My Hu Tao is stuck using White Tassel and Dragon's Mane for so long, so it's time for a change. And apparently, weapon banner drops are boosted, so I take the courage to get Staff of Homa. My objective was to get 3 Staff of Homas, 1 for Hu Tao, 1 for Zhongli, and a 3rd one for Xiao. But the results are 2 Staff of Homas and Nahida got her weapon. And now, here we are, in the present. Chaska is gone, and Morax has returned. Finally, it's done. That concludes this story on how I see C4 Zhongli without spending money. Now go watch me rank Mondstadt character on the Honkai Star Rail pads or the Leo version by clicking them here before it ends. Go ahead, I'll see you in that video.